Silbon urban horror legend. This story is of a very beautiful village named Los Llanes in South America in 1980, where there is greenery and farms all around. Near one of those farms, a boy named Meso was staying at his uncle's house during the holidays. These days, people often used to sleep early, so everyone slept after eating dinner in the evening. Maso lay down on the bed, but he was not able to sleep. He was just looking at the fan on the roof. Then suddenly, he heard a very loud sound of animals. He got up and went outside. He saw that the sound was coming from a nearby animal shelter, where there were many cows. Maso looked towards the sky, and the whole sky was covered with dark clouds. He thought that maybe all the cows were scared of the coming storm. So he went to the cows to take them to the inner stable, and with great difficulty started taking the cows to the inner stable one by one. But Maso had never seen the cows so restless. Due to this restlessness, Maso had to take them to the inner stable. It was getting difficult to take him from there. Heavy rain had also started. With great difficulty, when he sent some of the cows from the many cows to the inner stable, he started getting a very foul smell of meat. As he was sending more cows inside, and the number of cows was decreasing, the smell was increasing. When only 5 or 6 cows were left, he saw that the blood-soaked bones of an old cow were lying there. Seeing this, Maso froze there and started screaming loudly. But before he could run away from there or do something, he heard a voice from far away, amidst the heavy rain. That voice coming from miles away was so terrifying that Maso's soul trembled on hearing it. On hearing it, Maso understood that he was going to die today, because that voice was of Silbon's whistle, which meant that Silbon was coming to him. Maso had heard many stories of Silbon. He remembered how in his childhood, his relatives used to tell the story of a man who had encountered Silbon. His relatives, according to the story, that man was also going to a function on his horse late at night from a similar field. When the horse's foot slipped on something in that big barren field, when that man got down and looked, there was a deer bone lying there, from which the eaten meat was still hanging. Before that horse rider could understand anything, he heard a soul-stirring whistle from a distance. He tried to lift his horse, but it was too late. He heard the sound of something big jumping on a tree a little distance away from him. That horse rider wanted to run away from there, but then a bone hit his head forcefully, due to which his head broke. That horse rider started screaming and asking for help, but it was of no use, because a terrifying 19 feet tall man was standing in front of him like the face of death. There was a hat on his head, but the body and face were like death. That horse rider had never seen such a terrifying creature. He had a sack full of bones, and taking out the bones from that sack, he started hitting that horse rider without stopping, and the horse rider kept begging for his life. But that man started eating the bones from his body. Next morning, while grazing the cows, some villagers found not the Kur rider, but his dead body, which had turned into a skeleton. It is said that the 19 feet tall skeleton-like man is Silbon, and he still roams in that area. This story was going on in Maso's mind, and before he could run away, suddenly a 19 feet long shadow appeared on the ground, and then a man taller than that shadow came out, who was wearing a straw hat, and whose body was cut from all sides, and his flesh was hanging from it. This man taller than 19 feet was none other than Silbon. That man started walking towards him. Blood was dripping from the sack on his back. The sound of the bones clashing was getting louder and louder. Maso's heartbeats were getting louder. Maso ran away from there to save him, and he realized that El Silbon was chasing him by climbing trees and jumping from one tree to another. Maso Barel Silbon kept on screaming and stood right in front of him. He tried to kill him by moving his terrifying long hands, on which his own chopped flesh was hanging. Just then a dog barked. Hearing this, Barel Silbon came running in fear and disappeared somewhere in the air. When Maso looked, his pet dog was barking there, and who had probably come there after hearing Maso's screaming. Maso himself believed that if his dog was not there that day, then Maso's bones would also have been in the bag hanging on El Silbon's back. After that night, Maso kept on thinking about El Silbon. He asked his relatives and other people living nearby about the story of El Silbon, and what they told was much more horrifying than what happened to him. People told him that the story of El Silbon was absolutely true, according to which a spoiled boy was forced to kill his little girl. He used to live with a family in that area in the 18th century. Since the boy was the only child of the family, his parents and grandfather used to listen to everything he said. One day the boy asked his father to bring deer meat for dinner, after which his father went out to hunt with his hunting rifle and a sack. When his father did not return home for a long time, the boy became very angry. His mother gave the boy a very sharp kitchen knife for his protection and told him to go and find his father in the jungle and bring him back. When the boy returned, his father was not with him, but there were pieces of meat and some organs and bones in the sack, which he gave to his mother and asked her to cook it by calling it deer meat. His mother was feeling strange about the meat inside the sack, and she started getting suspicious. So the boy's mother told her fear to the boy's grandfather. On hearing this, his grandfather took the boy out, tied him to a tree, and started hitting him hard with a whip until the boy told the truth. He told a truth which was very terrifying. That boy told that when he found his father in the jungle, he was empty-handed because he could not hunt a deer. That boy got very angry with him, and in that anger, that boy killed him with a knife lying near him, and with the same knife, he removed his flesh and cut the rest of the body into pieces and filled it in his sack and came home. On hearing this truth, that boy's grandfather started beating him with such force that the flesh of that boy's body started hanging from his body. After that, his grandfather poured chili and alcohol on his body and untied him from the tree and put a big bundle of his father's flesh and bones on his shoulders and left his two dreadful dogs behind him and left him to wander forever. It is said that from that day till today, that boy's soul started wandering in the name of El Silbon. Almost all the people living in that area believe that they have definitely encountered El Silbon at least once, who sits in the trees and whistles in a different way and attacks like an animal whoever roams in the fields late at night. It is said that he is just scared of dogs, and that is why people in all the houses of that area have kept dogs. Maso was saved that night because of his dog. Otherwise, he too would have become a victim of El Silbon today. Friends, if you liked this urban horror legend of El Silbon, then to see such urban horror legend stories, subscribe to channel and keep watching the heart-wrenching horror story every week.